Never, ever, ever buy these types of properties. I promise you, you will regret it every time. I'm going to show you right here in this video exactly what to do, what to look for, what to avoid, who to ask. It doesn't matter if it's your first house or your seventh house. It's going to save you a ton of money, a whole lot of time, and most importantly, a whole lot of stress. So grab a pen and a piece of paper. You're going to want to take notes. Now, if you've subscribed to the channel, thank you so much. I'm more than grateful. My name's Wayne Turner. For nearly 30 years, I've done just about everything when it comes to real estate. I've bought, flipped, sold, built, you name it, I've done it. I've helped thousands of people, and I only share that with you so you can have the confidence and the comfort knowing that what you learn from me is from actual years, decades, if you will, of experience. So let's jump in. Now, number one is buying a house as is, where is. And this is where people make a big mistake because they think, well, it says as is, where is. No, you can still inspect the property. However, there's homeowners out there that won't allow you to inspect the property. And if you don't inspect the property, how do you know what you're buying? The last thing you want to do is lay your head on the pillow at night, that first night you're in the house, and all of a sudden you hear creaks and pops and noises. Water heater goes out, central heating air don't work, roof leaks. So you want to get it inspected. Oftentimes they just mean that they're not going to fix anything, but you can still have the property inspected. You just have to ask the homeowner, hey, is it okay if I inspect the property for my own well-being? If they say as is. And even if they say as is, say, you know what, I still want to buy the house, but unfortunately there's a roof leak. And I promise you, 95% of the time they'll say, oh, well, I'll fix that. It's just that simple. Now, if you watched any of my videos, when I say it's just that simple, my goal in life is to simplify the real estate process for every single human being on the planet. If you're watching my videos, I want to make it as simple and easy for you to purchase a property, whether it be a house, land, it does not matter, foreclosure. I want to simplify the process for you. Now, number two, and this is a good one, is a survey. You want to make sure you have a survey on the property. It doesn't matter if it's in a neighborhood, it's in an HOA, it's on a quarter-acre lot, half-acre lot, or 5 acres a lot. It doesn't matter. The homeowner oftentimes won't do a survey, or they may not have a survey. But here's the trick. The surveys are recorded at the Parish Register of Deeds office, the County Registers of Deeds. It costs about $2 to get a copy of that. You can go down there and get a copy. Homeowners will say, I don't have a survey. They never gave me one when I sold the house. That happens a lot. But you can still go there and get a copy of the survey. Now, once you have the survey, you want to walk around the property. You can do this, especially, which is really cool, with a metal detector. You can rent one, buy one for like 150 bucks. You can walk around, find the pins. There's pins of the properties. You'll see all of that in the survey. You'll also know the flood zone in the survey. You're walking the property, you know the meets and bounds, and most importantly, you know if there's anything encroaching upon the home that you're about to buy. Fences, pools, sheds, anything like that. So you can have the homeowner address it with whoever's encroaching on the property before you buy it. Now, number three is the well and the septic. If a property has a septic system and a well, you want to make sure you have those inspected as well, no pun intended. But you see what I'm saying? If the property has a well and a septic system, you want to make sure they work. Never rely on just the homeowner of the property. And most of the time, if a property has a septic system, you have to get a septic letter, a septic certificate, if you will, from the county, from the parish that says, yep, it's working. They have to come out, look at the property, walk around the septic system, make sure the aerator's working before they'll actually give you a thumbs up certificate. And that certificate is what you have to go to the utility company to have the power turned on the property. So always get that inspected and make sure you get a septic certificate. Now, number four, and I hope you're writing this down, number four is title policy. You want to make sure you have a title policy on the property, or you get a title policy. The seller may not pay for your title policy, but you can purchase your own title policy. Title policy is going to cover the property from the day you purchase it back until the day you purchase it forward. So here's what I mean. You have to ask, is there any mortgage, liens, back taxes, encumbrances? Do you owe the IRS any money? They may say, no, not a problem. Now, when you go to close that property, they will typically do a title search, especially if you're going to buy a title. They're going to do a title search, make sure there's no liens, back taxes, encumbrances. But if you don't buy a title policy, that person could have had a brand new central heat and air, brand new windows put in 10 days before you're closing, and you don't get a title policy. Well, that seller's gone, and they're going to knock on the door, and they're going to want the money from you because now you're the property owner. So you see how important it is. Make sure there's no back taxes, liens, encumbrances, mechanical liens, or anything like that on the house that you buy. Get a title policy. It's not that expensive, and it gives you peace of mind. Now, number five is disclosures. A lot of people aren't aware, but when you sell a house, now homeowners aren't aware, much less buyers aren't aware. It doesn't matter if it's your first home, second home, third home. Disclosures are one of those things that started back 28 years ago in 1996, where you had to disclose in writing if there was anything wrong with the property. So they put that in writing, and it's required. that every homeowner do that, with a few exceptions. Like if it's an estate property and they inherited the property, they don't have to do it because they've never lived in the property. If it's new construction, they don't have to do it. However, if that property is something that they've had as a rental property, even though they've never lived in it, they still have to fill out that disclosure. Now listen, the importance of the disclosure, it shows you how old is the roof, how old is the central heat and air. Now keep in mind, some people can put a question mark because they don't know, but at least you'll find a little bit of information on the property. What's the flood zone? But always double check the flood zone. Has the home ever had a fire? Has it ever had an insurance claim on the property? Has it ever had water? Does standing water stand around the property? The other one is lead-based paint. If that house was built before 1978, you got to have the disclosure to make sure that there's no lead-based paint in that house. More than likely, it's been painted over in 40 plus years, but you still have to sign the document. It's required by law. Now, number 6, and this has happened to me. Is this good stuff? If it is, give me a thumbs up. Let me know you're liking this video. Number 6 happened to me. I bought a house. I had no idea it was in a flood zone until literally the day before closing. The disclosure said it wasn't in a flood zone. I went off the word of the homeowner. Never go off the word of the homeowner, because if that property's paid for, if that property's inherited, if they've never had a mortgage on the property, they hadn't had to have flood insurance on the property, they may say, no, it's not in a flood zone, and come to find out it is in a flood zone. And of course, there's A, B, C, and X, the worst being A. X and C, it's not required by the mortgage company, but you just need to know that going in. So when you see on that disclosure, it says, oh, well, it's not in a flood zone, or it's in flood zone X, or it's in flood zone C, you still want to verify that. You can go to the government flood maps, and they will show you based on that property address what flood zone, if any, that property's in. Now, number 7, a lot of people miss this one, is insurance. You don't just get an insurance quote. You got to ask the homeowner how many insurance claims have been on the property. They may say none, not at all, but you have to verify that. Has there been any insurance claims? Because oftentimes, if there's a lot of insurance claims on the property, for example, a tree fell on it, 6 months later it got struck by lightning, then we had a kitchen fire. Believe it or not, if there's been a lot of insurance claims on the property, it makes it really, really difficult to get insurance on that property. And even when you can get insurance on the property, it's pretty expensive. So always, always, always ask, has there ever been any claims, insurance claims on the property? And if so, what related to and how many? Now, number 8 is closing costs. And closing cost is your insurance, your origination fee, your title policy. Those upfront fees have to be paid. And I can't tell you how many times a homeowner said, Wayne, I'm not paying for the buyer's closing costs. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you pay for the buyer's closing costs? They said, the buyers can buy their own closing costs. I'm like, well, listen, prime example. If they offered you $195 cash, would you sell it for $195? Yeah, I'd take it all day long. Well, what if they offered you $200 and they had to get a mortgage, but they asked for $5,000 in closing costs? You're still going to net $195. Would you sell it then? They say, yeah, absolutely. I said, well, listen, you don't want to rule out closing costs, because that allows that many more potential buyers to get into the property. Oftentimes you're buying a property and you're like, well, look, I want to make improvements to the property. I want to buy furniture, and I just don't want to deplete all my cash. Closing costs always run around 3.5% of your loan amount. That means that you can purchase a house and all you need is your down payment. Now, number 9, a lot of people don't realize they can actually purchase a house that's pre-existing and get a warranty on that house. And I always suggest people get a warranty on the house. Some people say, oh, they're not worth anything. I can tell you, I've had them on rental properties, personal homes, everything. I like them. And here's the reason why. If that house is more than 5 or 6 years old, you don't know how old that unit is, you can have the unit inspected. It doesn't matter. They can say it's fine. All of a sudden, it's leaking tomorrow. Instead of you having to replace a $600-700 condenser or a compressor, you pay a $100 fee, they come out, they replace it, and it's as simple as that. It gives you peace of mind. This is really important for first-time home buyers, but even pre-existing buyers. I have been buying properties for 30 years, and when I buy a property, it doesn't matter if it's an investment property, I still put a warranty on it, because 95% of the time, the seller will pay for the warranty for you. It's only about $800. If they won't pay it, then you can simply pay it yourself. Now, number 10 is mineral rights and water rights. I had a guy text me the other day and he goes, Wayne, I'm at the closing table and the seller says they're not relinquishing the mineral rights to the property. I'm like, well, you don't have to buy the property, but you have to make sure that was not a contingency in the contract. See, if you agreed to buy the property and then keep the mineral rights, but you didn't read the fine print, then you're up the creek without a paddle. And here's what happens. If you don't buy the property, you can lose your deposit. You can also be sued for specific performance to the contract. Listen, when it's an agreement, it doesn't matter if it's a real estate agent, real estate broker, or you bought it yourself by owner. It's a legal binding contract between two people, and you can be sued for specific performance to the contract. That's just why you want to make sure you go over everything, and make sure you get your mineral rights, because the last thing you want is somebody to come pulling up in your driveway, sending you a certified letter that they're going to start drilling on your land and fracking for natural gas. Get your mineral rights. Now, number 11 is get approved for a mortgage. You want to make sure you got your money in order if you're not paying cash, and you want to ask the mortgage lender, what's the best loan program? Is it FHA? Is it VA? Do you serve in the military? Is it conventional? How much money do you have to put down? You may want to go conventional, but I can't tell you how many times it's happened where a homeowner says, Wayne, I'm not paying closing costs, and I'm not paying FHA, and I'm not going VA, and I'm like, why? And they can't tell me why, but they heard a story from Larry at work, and it was a horror story because of the inspection. I've seen them, I get it, but here's what happens. If that house is in decent condition, there's no busted windows, broken windows, chip and paint, or anything like that, then it will pass FHA and VA inspections. And if that's the type of loan that you're getting, don't let a homeowner interfere with that. Educate them a little bit and tell them why and explain to them why, and have them explain to you why they won't let it go FHA or VA. Oftentimes, some homeowners are a little bit more difficult to deal with when they're selling their property themselves. So you just have to ask those questions and be patient. It's not like you can't get a good deal. You just have to know what to ask and what to avoid. Now, number 12, and this is a really important, you have to make sure that you put in writing between you, the buyer, and the seller what's going to stay with the property. Oftentimes they'll say, well, we're going to leave this and we're not going to leave that. If it's not in writing, it doesn't happen. So you got to make sure if you want the washer and dryer, you got to ask for it. You want the refrigerator, you have to ask for it. You have to ask for those things. And you also have to know that if you're getting a mortgage, you can't put the boat in the contract. You can't put the tractor in the contract. Those are things that do not give any monetary value whatsoever. Even a washer and dryer and a refrigerator is like borderline. But you just want to make sure light fixtures, chandeliers, anything like that, pool equipment, attached radio, speakers, all of that stuff. Just make sure that it's in writing so you don't have the headache after closing. I've seen it happen where they've taken the window curtains and the drapes and the blinds and the speakers and light fixtures. You don't want that to happen. Now, if you've liked this video, be sure and give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell button. I promise you there's some great videos, lots of learning, lots of education. I love teaching people. I've learned so much, and my philosophy in life is you learn it, you master it, and then you teach it. Until next time, make it a great day. God bless you.